undefeated Oklahoma, 6th ranked, 5-0, only played one SEC game, but it was a win over a good Auburn team. They're underdogs to Texas, the same Texas that just got pushed around by Florida, the same Texas who lost to Ohio State and is unranked. They already have 2 losses, and a loss here puts them out of the playoff picture, or any loss puts them out. They're projected to go 8-4 per FPI. Well, that's the reality of college football, guys. Before I continue, liking the video, watching the video all the way through, and commenting your thoughts down below are the best ways to support the channel, as they help push me into the algorithm, help me to receive a larger paycheck that I can use to reinvest in producing elite analysis for you all. Subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, sharing the video around, and supporting us in other ways that you can find out via the description are other awesome ways to support our operation at College Football with Sam. We are becoming the best. We want to be the best. Thank you all for making that possible. That's the reality. You don't abandon priors and preseason research and numbers like that. You don't do it. And at the same time for Oklahoma, well, they've been impressive, and they should win this game. Oklahoma's had some close wins. You know, the Michigan game, they had a real chance to pull away and make that a dominant win. Oops. We decided to muff the punt. We decided to turn it over, to miss the field goal, to have some really bad penalties. Auburn, you needed a trick play to win that game. You did. There's no shame in that, but Auburn, while a good team, is not a national title caliber team. And if that game were on a neutral field, Auburn wins on that day, given how both of those teams played. And as for Texas, look, they outgained Ohio State. There's a world where they beat that team in Columbus. The Florida game, there's not much of a world where they win that game with how those teams played. If you were to replay that, Florida wins close to 10 out of 10 times in that specific setting. But regardless of that, this is the Red River rivalry. Neutral field, Dallas, Texas. Texas is favored by 2.5 points. Josh Pate put out on Twitter a post saying that Mateer playing, like fully playing with complete confidence that he will be playing, the line will be set at Texas minus 1.5. If he were out, the line would be set at Texas minus 5.5, which is pretty significant line movement. Regardless, Texas would be favored, which tells you the books think that Texas is the better team. So let's explore that. Is Texas the better team? I want to start off with Oklahoma here and kind of make the case for the Sooners, and then we can get to Texas. So Oklahoma's undefeated. They're ranked 6th. They're power rated anywhere from top 10, top 5 to barely inside the top 15. There's a lot of varying opinions on Oklahoma. A lot of them. I'm in the middle of the extremes. Some think Oklahoma's just top 20, top 15. They're nice, they're good, great, no. Others think they could win it all. I'm in the middle. I don't exactly think this is a national title caliber team. I do think they could be an SEC championship caliber team because many other teams have lost SEC games already, and Oklahoma's schedule sets up to be nicer than I thought it would be preseason. You know, LSU is kind of who I thought they were preseason. Alabama is a little bit better, but still Oklahoma can get them. Oklahoma's better than I thought they would be preseason. Tennessee is a little bit better. Ole Miss is about what I thought. South Carolina's worse. Texas is worse. And they beat Michigan. They beat Auburn. And they controlled Michigan. And they did enough against Auburn to have an argument to be the better team here and now. So the Oklahoma Sooners, led by John Mateer, and it sounds like he's going to try to play, that is their offensive identity, is John Mateer. Look, they have some other good players. So they got Blaylock in the backfield. And I like what they have at wide receiver with Keontez Lewis. I like what they have with Jaron Kanak at tight end. But this is a John Mateer offense, straight up. Without him, they don't have a whole lot. Michael Hawkins Jr. is a pretty significant downgrade. That's why he's trying to come back and play in this game, even though it would probably be advised for him to rest another week. That's why. Not saying he shouldn't. I'm just saying the surgery was only 2 weeks ago, and the timetable was like 3 to 4 weeks. So Oklahoma needs Mateer in this game to win. A healthy Mateer, I think, is better than a healthier Arch Manning. But Manning, I know, is playing. I know Manning is better than Michael Hawkins Jr., and Manning could be better than a Mateer who's banged up. Torrey Blaylock looks great. Deion Burks, Isaiah Satenga, Keontez Lewis. Great wide receiver room. Michael Fasusi, their left tackle, is their best offensive lineman, I think, already. Really impressed with his caliber of play. And defensively, Oklahoma's defense is number one in a variety of categories. So I think they're strong everywhere. I think they're gettable at corner. But this roster that is Marvin Jones Jr., Dominic Williams, David Stone, Grayson Halton, Jaden Jackson, R. Mason Thomas, Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie, Kendall Daniels at the cheetah position, Peyton Bowen. I'm really impressed with what they've done. This is a unit that, look, they are number one in adjusted expected points added per play. They're number one in yards allowed per play. They're only allowing 3.7 yards per play from their opponents. Now, Michigan was not as good when they played them in week 2 as they are now, especially on offense. Auburn is clearly limited offensively, like clearly limited. But these numbers are still insanely impressive. And they get pressure. They are physical at the point of attack. That's why they got 10 sacks nearly on Auburn. That's why Michigan couldn't run the ball on them at all outside of really one long play. They produce an 18.5% havoc rate, which is third. Could even be first after this coming weekend, honestly. And they do enough offensively with Mateer, who's an absolute gamer, and the receivers they have to score on opponents and to beat them. Now, they do allow an 11.5% havoc rate offensively, which is 77th. That's not good. And that plays into what I was saying earlier, where Mateer is their offense. Without him, they have an offensive line that struggles in run blocking. They don't have amazing running backs, and their receivers and tight ends, while good, maybe even great, just aren't elite. So there's a lot of inherent limitations, whether it's depth or player upside or even how the starters are built on the O-line or running back room. Their rushing offense isn't spectacular. There's enough built-in limitations to where I will say the ceiling of this team is limited. I don't think that this team is a national title contender. I don't. I mean, there's a chance, for example. I don't think Michigan's a national title contender. But with Michigan, I can at least count on their offensive line and their rushing offense. And they're deeper offensively than Oklahoma is. At the end of the year, Michigan could win the rematch, hypothetically. And I don't think Michigan is a national title contender. What about, Auburn? Like I mentioned earlier, Auburn, they're not a title contender. They could have won that day. And that was at Oklahoma. I'm not trying to be negative with Oklahoma. Don't mistake that. I would love to see Oklahoma with that schedule go 12-0. It would be incredible. And what a comeback story for Brent Venables and Oklahoma. What a moment. But their defense is going to have to win them this game. What you want to see if you're a Sooner is first pass attempt, or not even that, just first play. Oklahoma's D-line immediately moves that Texas O-line. Immediately. So run blocking, they get behind him or even push him back. Pass rush, Manning has 2 or 3 seconds to throw, gets hit, dropped, and you see him wince a bit. That's what you want to see. And you want to see Texas be anxious offensively. You want to see them panic because you're doing that well in controlling them in all phases and aspects of the game. What you do not want, you don't want, you do not want Texas to reliably cover your receivers. And you do not want Manning playing an A game, which you can minimize the chances of that happening by putting him under immense pressure. But if he is able to play like how he did at times against Florida and against Sam Houston, and not as he did the first 3 games, that combined with Texas, say, limiting Mateer's passing offense and Ben Arbuckle's, that would result in a Texas win. And that is where I think, in all honesty, I understand why Texas is the favorite here. I think that Oklahoma has the strongest non-negotiable of these teams, and that is their defense and their defensive coaching. But I think that Texas is a more balanced, diverse team. Their outlets of being able to attack you are more plentiful than Oklahoma's are. If Texas is able to wake up one day and play to their potential, they can run on you and pass on you. They can also stop the pass. They can stop the run. They can get home with Colin Simmons. They can force fumbles. They can read your defense like a book or offense like a book with Michael Taft. They can use Manning's legs. And Baxter has proven himself as a running back to do some things on his own. They can get their tight ends involved. With Oklahoma, if they play to their ceiling, they still will not run all that well on you. And they probably still have some, not a lot, some questions in pass defense, specifically at corner. So Texas here, a big part of the reason why they are favored is because they have the higher ceiling. And also because Oklahoma's shown its floor at times, and so is Texas, and their floors aren't all that different. I mean, that Auburn game for Oklahoma and the Florida game for Texas, they had some differences, but say you put Oklahoma on the road at Auburn, like say that happened. There's a world where Auburn, takes control of that game and they come out being the victor in the trenches, because switching up home field advantage can do that to you. It can, especially with Auburn's offensive line issues. These teams have shown who they are, I think, through 5 games. And I think Oklahoma right now, with a healthy Mateer, would, and by healthy I mean 100%, with 100% health, John Mateer in Oklahoma would be better than 100% Arch Manning in Texas. I do think that. Straight up I do. But Texas is deeper, and Texas can better sustain some adversity in different areas than I think Oklahoma can. So if you shut down Texas's rushing attack, they have a good enough QB, good enough receivers and tight ends to pass on you. If you shut down their passing offense, as Ohio State did, they're big enough and physical enough and athletic enough at running back and even QB run to move in between the 20s on you. That's what the Ohio State game was. Oklahoma, if you shut down their passing attack, I don't quite know what they do. Especially against a Texas defense that is, outside of maybe Auburn, going to be the best defense they play all year. And I mean, LSU could be in that conversation. It's certainly going to be, along with Auburn, the best defense they've played so far. And you're not hosting Texas as you did Auburn and Michigan. You're playing neutral field against Texas in an environment that both you and Texas are very familiar with. So if you're the Longhorns, what you want to do is you just want to contain, I think you want to contain Mateer. And you can, I think it's almost a given that you will stop their halfback, running back, rushing attack with a light box. You just want to contain Mateer, make sure you get some pressure, which has been a struggle for this Texas unit. I think Oklahoma will probably fare pretty well in protecting Mateer. You want to try and get pressure on him. And then offensively, you know what I would do? I'm not a coach, so I'm going to correct myself there. It's not what I would do. I think that Texas knowing their defense can hold up well against this Oklahoma offense, will try to run early and see what they have. And if they need to put the game on Manning's back, they will. And plays will be there for Manning, but if they need him to take over, they'll let him. But why do that? Like, challenge your offensive line. Yeah, they looked bad against Florida. Doesn't mean they're a bad unit, though. So, Anthony Hill Jr., Michael Taff, Ty Anthony Smith, Hero Kanu, Cole Brevard, Ethan Burke. Sounds like Malik Muhammad's out for the season, from what I heard. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. It's very sad. Texas is good enough players to step up. They have depth, and that's an area where I'm concerned with Oklahoma in, actually, is I don't know, in truth, how much depth they have. I don't think they have a lot of it. Looking at the matchup, I think both defenses have an edge over both offenses. I think the overall teams right now are pretty even as it stands, but I think Texas is the higher ceiling, and I think Sarkisian and his staff right now are... I'm questioning this a little bit. I think there is a chance that Oklahoma, if you count Venables twice as a head coach and defensive coordinator, I think there's a chance Oklahoma has the better coordinator and head coaching trio. A chance. But I think Texas's assistant staff is still better, and I still like Sark over Venables for now. So the coaching going Texas's way, the overall team, I think right now is pretty even. But if you had to make me choose, it would be Texas, and I think Texas is deeper. Plus, Texas has more avenues to attack just the average opponent than Oklahoma does because they're more balanced. Leads me to pick Texas to outright win here, which isn't an upset. They're a favorite, and I think they're the favorite for a reason. It's going to be an exciting 3:30 game on ABC. Going to be another game along with Indiana, Oregon that I'm going to be paying attention to. I'm going to more so be paying attention to Indiana, Oregon. But this game will be paying very close attention to as well. I like... It's not even that I like Texas more in the trenches. I think the trenches here are going to be pretty even. It's the fact that I think Texas in areas besides the trenches, so coaching and outside play, and even in between the tackles. So Manning has the potential to be a better passer than Mateer, and Texas is the better running backs and the more athletic linebackers. So they have more avenues to create, I think, the explosive play, the big play, than Oklahoma does. And it's not like Oklahoma has a better avenue to create the more sustainable play than Texas does either. So for that reason, with Texas having more potential in terms of hitting the explosives, but I think also having a better roster built for this matchup to create sustainable drives, I like Texas to win, and I like them to cover. When looking at the standings of this matchup, before we move on, I believe that this game does not change the path for who's in the driver's seat in terms of reaching the playoffs. I think that Oklahoma's path to reach the playoffs is easier than Texas's because Texas already has 2 losses. And I also think because I strongly believe that Oklahoma will be favored against Mizzou and LSU at home. They'll be favored against Ole Miss. With a healthy Mateer, they'll be favored over South Carolina, probably favored over Tennessee. I think that Oklahoma has a much better chance of getting to the playoffs than Texas. I might even say because they're already a game ahead in SEC standings and they have that strength of schedule advantage, I think that there is a chance they even have a better path to get to Atlanta than Texas, even with a loss here. You know, Texas is to play Texas A&M. They have to play Georgia on the road. That's not going to be fun. They also have to play Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt's going to be a headache for anyone to play. Oklahoma's lucky that they don't play Vanderbilt, even though their schedule overall is tougher than Texas and SEC play. Vanderbilt's going to be a headache for a lot of teams to deal with, especially after the way Texas looked in the trenches against Florida, especially. Nonetheless, I think Texas in this game wins and covers because I think they match up better with Oklahoma and have a more sustainable path to victory and scoring points. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure if you haven't already to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment your analysis and thoughts down below so I can reciprocate my thoughts with you in the comment section, and check out anything on these end screens that are up here. Whether it's a recommended video or playlists for teams that I'm talking about in a preview, prediction, or a reaction, make sure to hit the notification bell on those, scroll through them, and watch any suggested videos if you are interested. Thank you for helping college football with Sam become the best and the biggest college football brand and channel on YouTube and other social media platforms. We will reach that one day because of your support.